version of the story as an 8-year-old. And soon I'm going to call my mother up to tell the same story, but from her perspective. You see, I've told the story so many times, but I've never actually asked my mom her version of events. So it'd be interesting to me as well to hear my mom's version of this story that I'm going to tell you. So I was 8 years old. I came back from school. My brother must have been around 7. My sister must have been around 2 or 1. I came back from school, a normal day. And then our landline rang. My cousin answered the phone, and before I knew it, we were being bundled into the car. My mom's friend had miraculously appeared outside our house, and she was rushing us to her house. I don't know where my parents were, but we went to my mom's friend's house. Now, nobody talks to kids in Nigeria because apparently, you know, we're not smart enough. Sorry, Mom. Nobody actually explained what was going on. But from what everybody was saying, apparently, because there's an extremist group, basically, and they were going house to house, killing people who didn't share their ideologies. So my family happened to be one of those families, a minority, non-Muslim family. So we were not safe in our house that day, that week. So we got bundled to my mom's friend's house because she was a Muslim and her house safer. Now, I'll take you back a few weeks before that. Some of you don't know that I walk with a limp. See, I've learned to walk with these really high shoes, but I actually walk with a slight limp because one leg is shorter than the other. When I started with that journey, basically, I started to limp. This is before all of this. And my parents took me to hospital. And the nearest hospital, the nearest orthopedic hospital, was far away. And back then, when we were kids, the only way we could measure how far a place was by how many hours it would take us to get there. So I remember you saying to me that Kano was 5 hours away. I remember it clear as day. So 5 hours away was the nearest orthopedic hospital. We'd gone there, they looked at my leg, they knew what was going on, as I said, nobody told me. We came back, and then I was supposed to go back for another appointment. But before my appointment arrived is when the situation occurred, where we had to run away from our home, we had to go to my mom's friend's house. And because people who know me know I like a bit of drama, I'm a bit inconvenient, I decided to break my leg during this time. So I don't know where my mom and dad were. We didn't have mobile phones back then. That's how old I am. And I don't know how my parents got to hear. Anyway, I broke my leg. And taking me to hospital was not even part of the conversation because hospitals were not open, the streets were not safe, we don't have an effective police service, none of that. So they told me that they were going to take me, they were bringing a native doctor to the house. If anybody ever tells you they're bringing a native doctor, say no. Because this man came with all sorts of rags and sticks and stuff. Now, I knew my leg was broken because I heard the bone crack. And this guy, he did not even give me painkillers, just picked my leg up. And I don't know what he was trying to do. He was trying to kill me. The most pain I've ever felt in my life. Anyway, eventually, I saw my mom and dad. Eventually, our home was safe to go back to. But here I am with a broken leg. Now, our town had become safe. The riots had stopped in our town. But the riots, you know how it goes, it was spreading. Now, my appointment, the day of my appointment was coming. And part of the unsafe parts was on the way to the hospital. That's where the riots were. Now as an adult, I think about that decision that my mom and dad had to make, and it was a case of basically get me to hospital or not. And get me to hospital was a big risk because that's where the riots were. In Ningi, do you remember? So they made the decision that they would take me to hospital. So my mom stayed with the other kids. My dad put me at the back of the car. I remember we started the trip at 4 o'clock in the morning. And my dad began to drive. And I think it's the first time I heard my father pray, because there were lots of people on the road. The sounds I heard that day, very loud, shrieking people. I heard lots of gunshots. I saw lots of buildings on fire. And my dad just basically was flying to get me to hospital. I spent 3 months in a hospital. Now, why I tell you that story is because I realized what decisions my dad had to make, what decisions my parents had to make. I realized that the reason why it was such an unsafe trip to make was because certain people decided that they were going to go on a killing spree. Now you see those children over there, you see Augustine, the disabled little boy? When we talk now, I mean his parents are dead, but when we talk to the doctors, they say his mom and dad were careless, and it's part of the reason why he's walking the way he's walking. Now we don't have the NHS in Nigeria, and my parents could afford to get me to hospital. Augustine's parents, it wasn't carelessness, they just couldn't afford it, or they just were not enlightened enough, and now they're dead. Not because of natural causes or anything, they were killed. I could tell you about so many children. There's a little girl called Fortune, she's nearly 3 years old. We're going to see these children soon, we're going to do a live phone call so you can see them. Fortune was brought into the orphanage at 4 days old. Now in Nigeria, you don't have a name until the 8th day. Are there Nigerians in the house? Am I correct? Yes. Naming ceremony is on the 8th day. So before the 8th day, basically, the child has no name. There's a little boy called Timothy. Timothy, his parents were killed. Timothy had an older brother. So they were going from house to house, doing odd jobs to fend for themselves. Now Timothy and his brother were homeless, obviously, because mom and dad are not there anymore. We don't have any benefits in Nigeria or anything like that. Timothy's brother went to do some of these odd jobs they were doing. It was his older brother, and he fell into a well and he died. And Timothy's on his own. I'm saying all this as a matter of fact because I'm aware of time, but I'm trying so hard not to sensationalize this. I'm trying so hard not to pull on your heartstrings. I just want to tell you as it is. I just want to give you the facts, the kind of people that we're trying to help. There are fields of tens of thousands of displaced people. Displaced, that's their villages have been destroyed and nobody is building those villages back up. So, we want to give them at least clean water. Now for us to build a solar panel borehole that will cater to a minimum of 10,000 people will cost us £1,500. That is not a lot of money. These apprenticeships we want to provide, £200 will provide training. There are 16 vocations the children can choose from. Training, if they complete it, a minimum of 9 months, then we will provide equipment for whatever they've chosen to do, and we will also provide a workspace for 1 year for £200. I've gone in and done my research. I'm in touch with my mom and my dad, have all the contacts that we need, and they're helping me do this. I'm going to keep quiet now because, makeup is expensive. Do you know, I got someone to do my makeup today, and if I start to cry, my money will be wasted. So I'm going to keep quiet now, so that I don't get, But the situation, the people we're trying to look after, their situation is desperate. It's desperate. And I can't sleep at night knowing that people who live 10, 15 minutes away from my home are basically dying of hunger. I can't have that. So far, we've been feeding these children. I send money every month and we get them fed. And these are just 50. There's thousands more. And I'm going to reach, God help me, I'm going to reach as many as I can. But I'm going to need your help. So I've got some envelopes. But we're going to give them a call now. But listen to what my mom has to say. I want to hear her version of the same story. Come on in.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I normally wouldn't be standing here. It would have been my husband, because I am the engine room in the family. But EJ and her dad, they are the face of the family. They do all the talking, all the politics. So, well, I'll just say the story. I was working with the television station then. It was 1991 or so. And we had gone to work. My husband worked in the university. I worked in the TV station, and they're like two different parts of the town. And on getting to work, my colleagues told me that riots had started. And our kids were at home. We had only one car, so my husband took me to work, and then he went to work, and so I can't get to them. I didn't know what to do, but my best friend, whom I work with in the office, she's a Muslim, a northerner from that place, and so we decided she would go and take the kids to her house. My husband, because of where he's coming from, cannot drive on the streets that day. So he stayed in his office, I stayed in my office, and she went home and got the kids to her home. And like EJ said, she's a drama queen. The next thing I heard, EJ was riding a car or something on a pavement and fell down and broke her bones. Before then, she had been diagnosed with cysts in her bones, and she was to go for surgery. But she broke the bone. So when we had that, well, there was nothing we could do. We got the local doctor, and he did what he could. We couldn't just watch our child losing her legs, because she could have been paralyzed or something, or she wouldn't be able to walk. So we agreed that my husband, Andy, would drive her to Kano, and I'll stay home. And Ningi, the town, have to go through before Kano was born in. But he had to do what he had to do, so he drove her to Kano, and I prayed that he would come back. So he drove her and had to leave her in Kano, and well, she stayed there for 9 months. For 3 months. And came back, that's the part she didn't tell you. She came back first week of December, and I was at work. I had changed my job then, and broke the leg again. So we decided we were not going back to Kano. We had to treat her there. So basically that's what happened. I could go into all those things. But where we live is not safe for children. It's a very nice place when it's peaceful. Very good place to bring children up. But riots broke out for some reason, flimsy excuses. We're saying all this. My best friends all my life have always been Muslims. Always. But they can't help what other people do. People have different perceptions. But what we're here about today is children and how they suffer. They're displaced. Some don't know where their parents are. Most of them don't know where their parents are. There's a girl, Afiniki. She was displaced. She didn't know where her parents were for about 2 years. Just a few weeks ago, the people running the orphanage were told that they found her parents. But she can't go to them because the place is not safe. Through the Kairos initiative, we've been doing what we can. We take food to them, we take clothing, a lot of Thank you, everybody. A lot of people have been helping, and their lives have changed. We could see them change. Their nutrition changed. They never used to eat meat or chicken or anything, but we tried to get them some fish and some protein. And you can see they have changed. Thank you very much.